Every evening at 6:30, Emma made a cup of chamomile tea, wrapped herself in her oversized cardigan, and sat by the window of her tiny apartment. It was her ritual, her moment of peace after long hours of work and life's endless noise. But lately, she wasn't just watching the sunset or listening to the city hum. She was watching him. He lived in the building across from hers, third-floor, corner apartment. Tall, slightly messy hair, always reading a book or sketching in a notebook. Some days he'd pace his room like he was chasing a thought. Other times he'd sit still for hours, pen in hand, never writing a word. They'd never spoken.
Not even waved.
But something passed between them in those glances. A shared silence. A soft curiosity. One evening, as rain whispered against the glass, Emma noticed his window was dark. For the first time in weeks, he wasn't there. No light. No silhouette. Nothing. She felt disappointed. Strange, how someone you never met could feel like part of your day. But then a flicker. His window lit up, and there he was, notebook in hand. He looked up, saw her watching. This time he smiled. Hesitant, but real. Emma smiled back. The next night, there was a note taped to his window. 5 bold letters. Coffee. Her heart stuttered. She laughed softly, scribbled on a sheet of paper, and taped it to her own glass. Yes. The cafe was small, tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop, quaint, quiet, perfect. Emma chose a seat by the window, fingers curled around a latte she hadn't touched. Every time the bell above the door jingled, her heart skipped. Then he walked in. Black hoodie, sketchbook under one arm, nervous smile. He spotted her instantly. Hi, he said, as if unsure the moment was real. Hi, she echoed, standing just enough for an awkward handshake that turned into a laugh from both of them. I'm Theo, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. Emma. They stared at each other for a second. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, it was familiar. You're exactly like I imagined, she said, surprising herself. He raised an eyebrow. And how did you imagine me? Quiet, thoughtful, always a little lost in your own world. Theo chuckled. Pretty accurate. He tapped the sketchbook. You've been my muse for a while, you know. Emma blinked. Me? He flipped it open. Page after page, her face, her silhouette in the window, her sipping tea, curled up in her cardigan. Her breath caught. That's beautiful. I used to think I was just imagining someone like you. But then you were real. Right there. Every day. She felt the heat rise in her cheeks. I always wondered what you were thinking. He shrugged, mostly hoping you'd look back. They sat for hours, talking about everything and nothing.
Books.
Favorite tea flavors. Why the world feels quieter at 6:30 p.m. When they left, the street lamps glowed golden. Rain had stopped. Everything felt freshly made. I'm glad you wrote that note, she said as they reached the corner where their buildings faced each other. I almost didn't, he admitted. I was afraid it might ruin the magic. Emma smiled, her eyes soft. You didn't ruin it. You started it. Theo hesitated, then leaned in, not quite close enough for a kiss, but close enough for a promise. Same time tomorrow? She nodded. Same time, but next time, tea at my window? His grin was answer enough. It had been weeks since that night at the cafe. Emma and Theo became a rhythm, coffee dates, shared playlists, window waves, and soft smiles that lingered longer than necessary. Their bond was simple but sincere, stitched together by quiet moments and unspoken things. But then, Theo started missing their 6:30 window meetings. At first, she brushed it off. Maybe he was caught up in work. Maybe the city traffic was worse than usual. But 3 nights in a row, his window stayed dark. No light, no sketching, no smile. By the 4th night, a strange heaviness settled in her chest. She finally messaged him. Emma, hey, everything okay? Missed you. No reply. The next day, she stood outside his building, hesitating before buzzing his apartment. No answer. Just silence. That kind that makes your mind go places it shouldn't. She turned to leave, then heard someone behind her. Are you looking for Theo? It was his neighbor, an older woman with gentle eyes. Yes, I haven't seen him in a few days. The woman's face shifted. He left. Emma blinked. Left. Moved out this morning. Said he had to go back home. Family emergency or something. Didn't say much more. Emma's throat tightened. He didn't say anything to me. The woman shrugged. Sorry, dear. He looked sad, though, like he was leaving something behind. That night, Emma sat by her window with her tea, staring at the now empty room across from hers. Then she noticed something taped to her window from the outside. Her heart leapt. She rushed to the glass, peeled off the small, folded paper. Just one sketch. It was her, drawn in delicate pencil lines, tea in hand, soft cardigan, a slight smile as she stared out the window. On the back, a note. Some goodbyes aren't about letting go. They're about not knowing how to hold on anymore. I'm sorry. Her eyes stung, but she didn't cry. She just whispered into the silence. You didn't ruin the magic, Theo. You just disappeared before it finished. A year passed. Emma had changed. Her hair was a little shorter, her smile a little wiser. The window across had long been rented out, new curtains, new stories. The sketches, the silent stares, the paper notes. All part of a chapter she no longer read aloud. She still made tea at 6:30. But now, it wasn't for anyone but herself. One chilly November afternoon, as she browsed a tiny bookstore tucked between a florist and a bakery, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Emma? She turned.
Theo.
Standing there, looking the same but somehow smaller, like time had humbled him. His eyes searched hers for something he didn't quite find. I didn't think I'd ever run into you, he said, managing a nervous smile. She smiled too, soft and distant. It's been a while. I've thought about you. A lot, he confessed. I came back a few months ago. I tried stopping by, but you'd moved apartments. She nodded. New view. New story. Theo hesitated, stepping closer. I know I should have called. I should have written anything. But life got heavy. I didn't know how to reach out. Emma looked at him for a long time before responding. You did know how, Theo. You just didn't choose to. He flinched quietly. I waited, she continued. For days. Weeks. I worried. I wondered. But eventually I stopped hoping. Because if someone really wants to stay in your life, they don't vanish. I didn't mean to hurt you. I know, she said gently. But you still did. Silence wrapped around them. He stepped forward, hopeful. Maybe we could start again? Coffee, tea, anything. I'd like to try. For real this time. Emma looked down, then back into his eyes. There was warmth there, but not the kind that waited. I've moved on, Theo. He blinked. It's not anger, she said softly. I just realized not everything broken needs fixing. You disappeared. No matter the reason, it took you a year to come back. That's not hesitation. That's a choice. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't need to. I loved what we were. And I'm glad it happened. But I'm not her anymore. Theo nodded slowly, pain blooming behind his quiet smile. I understand. She reached out, touched his arm gently. Take care of yourself, okay? Then she walked past him, out into the soft gray light of the street. And for the first time since that window closed, she didn't look back.